Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. For this tutorial I'm going to show you guys how to make this beautiful pair of earrings using materials from the dollar bead box and bag. And the subscription that I'm using is January 2018, and I'm actually making two different projects using January 2018 bead box and bag. This first one I'm doing is earrings, and the second one I will be doing is a necklace. It's a lariat necklace, which I've wanted to do for such a long time. And for January I got a lot of different beads that look good together, so I figured out how to do a lariat, and that will be my next video, so make sure you look out for that. So for these earrings here, this is the third time that I've played around with metal findings like charms and connectors and stuff and come up with a really cool design. This has just happened in the past few months. I don't know if you guys been paying close attention to my videos, but I've been playing with metal pieces and beading onto them, and I'm getting some really cool looks. So in the dollar bead box, I got this rectangle bead that has two holes. There's one on this side and one on that side. The box came with two of these beads, and I also got this connector, which is kind of like a slider. There's a hole here and here, and I just put that on top of that bead, and I thought it looked really cool. And when I was first playing with it, I thought maybe I could just bead onto it, and on one side have a leather cord and a leather cord on the other side, do some like bracelet, a simple looking but cool bracelet. And then I was looking at the Swarovski bicones that have a hole on one side, and I put them at the bottom, and it has this really neat fan look. So I ended up making this earring, and I changed the little things here and there to get the project just right, and it's perfect now, and I love it so much. And I would like to go onto the dollar bead box because they have a store where you can go back and buy things for $1. Eventually I would like to go back on there and get some more of these connectors and the two-hole rectangle bead and do these earrings in some different colors because they're just so unique and beautiful. I'm really happy with these. Now you do have some different color options because January's box came with two different colors of these Swarovski bicones that have a hole on one side. This one here in this earring is called Mocha, and this color is called Cyclamen, and it's a pretty pink purple opal color. It's so pretty. And the dollar bead bag came with a couple different colors. This one here, I forgot what it's called. It is Ocean Green Opal. That's what it's called. This color and this color look amazing together, and I would like to make another pair of earrings doing those two. And another option is these here. This one is called Siam Matte, or Matte Siam, something like that. Anyways, these two have like a romantic Valentine's Day look to them, so you have some different color options on what you can do for these earrings. I went with these colors here because it looks very old and vintage to me, and I just love them. So the only things I'm using that's not in the box, that's mine, is 11 Miyuki seed beads in bronze, an earring finding. I'm using a lever back because those are my favorite, and I'm also using thread. So those are the only things I'm using that are mine, but they're very basic materials that you guys probably already have. So let's get started with these earrings. They're very easy to make, they don't take long to make, and they just turn out so awesome. Here is the list of materials you will need to make a pair of earrings. You will need to cut 2 pieces of thread. I'm using 1G, but you can use 6-pound fireline. You will need to cut 2 pieces 2.5 feet long each, so one for each earring. You will also need a size 10 beading needle, 2 12 by 20 millimeter Czech 2-hole rectangle beads, and I'll show you. See that there? There's 2 holes in it. You will also need 2 28 millimeter 2-hole connector. This is the brass color. You will also need 6 6 millimeter Swarovski bicones, and these have a hole on the side. It's not a center hole. See that there? Holes on the side. And these come in different colors. I saw that the dollar bead box carries them in multiple colors on their site. You will also need 23 millimeter Czech fire polish beads, and the color I'm using is metallic rhubarb. You will also need 11 seed beads. I'm using Miyuki in bronze, and 2 earring findings. I'm using lever backs, but you can use whatever style you like. So this is the list of materials, and remember I always put it down there below the video so you can see everything you need. So I put my thread onto my needle, and again you will need to cut 2.5 feet of thread just to make 1 earring. And I'm going to pick up a 3mm Czech fire polish bead. And then I'm going to take this connector here, and if you look at this, I'm going to be working on these holes right here. And you have to be careful not to use the inside ones, because I accidentally did that when I was making this. And I could tell after I finished it that it didn't look right. I'd take it apart. But it's just going to be this hole, that one, and that one that we will be using, and I'll show you here on this one. See the holes there on the top? And those 2, we're not using those ones there in the middle, okay? Just the 4 outer ones. So I'm going to take my needle, I have my 3mm bead on here, and I'm going to go through one of these holes. I'll go through this one here. I'm going to come up through the bottom, okay? Pull the thread through, and I need to leave a 6-inch tail. So I have a ruler, but for now I'm just going to take my needle, I'm going to pass back through this bead so my thread is actually catching onto the metal connector. See that right there? Okay, and then I'm just going to take a ruler and measure myself out a 6-inch tail. Okay, because later on I need to go back and reinforce with this tail. So I'm going to hold it like this now. Okay, I have this bead here. I'm going to pick up an 11/0 seed bead, another 3mm, another 11/0 seed bead, and a 3mm. Okay, I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going to skip over these 2 holes and come up through this hole. Pull the thread through, and now I have what looks like this. I'm going to take my needle and pass back through these beads. Okay, all of those ones I just picked up. So my needle, my working tail, is now touching that one. So I'm going to pull this tight. Okay, so now I have to tie a knot. I'm going to tie these 2 together. I kind of figured that it was best to do it this way, other than just tying a surgeon's knot, because of how this is made. So to tie a surgeon's knot, I'm going over and under, pulling that down. Okay, pull it tight. It looks like this. And now I'm going to go over and under twice. So there's 1, 2 times, and bring that down. And I like to, just for extra security, to go over and under 1 more time and bring that down. Okay. So now we have this. So I'm going to take the needle, right here's my knot, I'm going to take the needle and pass through this seed bead, and my knot will go into this seed bead, okay, just like that. Now I'm going to pick up 14 11/0 seed beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and double check. Let's see, there's 3, there's 7, and there's another 7. So that's 14 seed beads, okay? And I'm also going to pick up a 3mm Czech fire polish bead. Now, I'm going to take the needle and come straight across and go through this hole. So I'm exiting on this side. I'm just going to come up through this hole in my little metal connector. And then I have to take my needle and pass through this Czech fire polish bead and through a seed bead. Just 1. Okay, just coming through the Czech 3mm and 11/0 seed bead. Pull the thread through. Careful not to catch onto anything. And I now have this. Okay, now I'm going to pick up a 3mm, a seed bead, and a 3mm, and I'm going to come up through this hole right here, my last hole, just like that. I now have what looks like this. I'm going to take my needle, pass back through this 3mm that I just added, and through a seed bead. I'm pulling it through, pull it snug. I now have what looks like this. Okay, so here I am. I'm going to pick up 2 seed beads. Okay, right here I am coming out of there. I have to turn this to this side so I can see better. Coming out of here, I'm skipping over this one and this one. Now this one's in with our 3mm, and so is that one, so I'm not actually counting that one. I'm going to pass through that one right there. See that? Now I'm actually going to be passing through several of them. And let's see, I need to pass through, let me count, pass through 9 seed beads on the back. Okay, I'm going to pull this through now. Okay, so now when you look at it, see that right there? That's what it's supposed to look like. So this seed bead and this one that we captured in this loop right here look like it's part of this, but it's actually not. It's a separate piece. So now I'm coming over here, okay, and I'm exiting out, and you can see that I have 3 seed beads here. I'm going to pick up 2. Coming out of here, I'm going to pass through this seed bead and through the Czech fire polish bead. Picking up my 2 and passing through these 2. Okay. So now looking at it, this is what we have. And it's the same on this side. So now I'm going to take my needle, I'm on the top of my metal connector, that's what it's called. I'm going to go through this hole. Okay, I'm going to slide in my 2-hole rectangle bead. Okay, my other tail there, it's in the wrong place. I need to make sure that this is not trapped. Okay, so my tail's on this side and my working tail is on my right side. Okay, so popping that bead in there, pulling this tight. This is what I have. Okay, that's what the back looks like. This is what the side looks like. Okay, and that's what that side looks like. Now, my tail is behind the metal connector, and what I need to do is take my needle and pass through this connector hole. Okay, and that thread, you can barely see it. It's behind there. See it? It's so tiny. You can barely see it. So now what I'm going to do is take my needle, pick up my 3mm. I'm going to flip this over to the back side. I'm going to pass my needle through the hole there in my Czech bead. Okay, now I'm connecting this 2-hole bead into my connector and my beads. So I picked up another 3mm, passing through this one, turning it. I'm going to pick up another 3mm, passing through the next hole, picking up my last 3mm. I'm going through this hole. Okay, now pull this tight. You'll have to press these ends here, make sure that this is sitting right. I do come back in here and I reinforce this because it does look a little bit loose. And I think it's because I'm using the 1G thread. You're probably not going to have that problem if you're using fireline because it's more stiff. Okay, so this is what we have right now. I'm coming out of this finding, and I actually need to be exiting out of a 3mm check bead on one of the corners. So I'm going to just tighten this up, take my needle, pass through this 3mm check fire polish, through my big rectangle bead, and out through a fire polish right there. Okay, so pull that, and now we are ready to add our bicones. So to do that, I'm going to pick up a seed bead, my bicone, seed bead, bicone, seed bead, bicone, and a seed bead. Okay, I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to pass through this 3mm check fire polish bead. I'm skipping over that connector piece there, and I'm doing that because it lays much better if you do that, if you skip over that. So I'm just connected onto the 3mm check fire polish beads, and now I'm coming out the top. Okay, make sure you pull this tight as you go. So this is what we have now, and I'm ready to do the bail. And I first did 8 11 seed beads for the bail, and I realized it was too big. And I did 6 on this one, and it looks just right. And I think I have the wrong amount of beads here. Yeah, I have 2 extra, so I'm going to pick up 3 11s in my earring finding, and I need it to lay right, so I have to pick it up this way, and 3 11s. I'm going to take my needle and pass through this check fire polish through my 2-hole bead, and you know what, I'll just come out that 2-hole bead right there. Okay, just like that, and pull it tight, and there we go. I'm going to go around and reinforce this a second time, so I'm going to flip it over to the back, take my needle, and pass through as many beads as I can at one time. I probably should have done with this with fireline, but I wanted to do the black, and I only have fireline in 10 pound in the black, and I needed to use a thinner one, so that's why I did the 1G. Okay, so now there's 2 thread passes in the crystals. I'm gonna go through these real quick, make a second thread path through here. Okay, pull this tight. And now I'm ready to tie knots. I'm going to take the needle, pass through right here, okay, underneath there, make a loop, and pass through this loop twice. Bring that knot down. Sometimes it wants to act screwy. You have to put the needle in there and pick it so it doesn't mess up. Now I'm going through the rectangle bead. Make sure you don't catch on anything. And I'll tie another knot here. Okay, I'll pass through these. I don't really tie knots in here because it's kind of awkward. I'll come out these beads, tie a knot here, go into that bead, and I'll just do some reinforcing. Now I do like to go back in here and reinforce these, and it's a little tricky because you can't take this needle and pass under here and go through there. It's just not gonna happen. So to reinforce that, what I did is let's see, I'll take this here. Okay, I don't have a needle on here, I'm just doing this with my fingers. I'm passing through that bead there, What I'm going to do is take and separate these a little bit with my nail. Taking this thread, I'm going to pass back through this hole. Okay, it's a little tricky. You might need tweezers. I should have got mine out. If it doesn't go through, it's because you need to lift these up more. Okay. Right there I am. Got through. Okay, that's the only way you can get through there. And then what I'll do is I'll put my needle onto this thread. I'll go through this Czech fire polish bead, through that seed bead. You gotta be careful, you know, trying to get through there that you don't break any beads. And then I'll tie a knot right here. I'll come through these beads, tie a knot here, go through these two, come around, loop through there if I have enough thread, and I'll just, you know, follow my old thread paths, tightening this up. Just try your best to follow your old thread paths. Don't make any new ones that don't exist anywhere else, because then it's not going to lay right. And that pretty much goes for just about everything you make when you're beading. So that is it. It's so pretty. I love it. And if you at least tie 3 knots with each thread, you're fine. So don't freak out if you can't reinforce it a lot. So at least try to get 3 knots with each thread. This is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of my videos, and like me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the jewelry we've made from my videos on my Facebook page and follow me on Pinterest. Thanks for watching.